On today's show, join Emily and I as we answer the age-old question, why is my RV battery not charging? Then Emily will take on a frequently asked question from the RV community. And stick around as I dig deeper into a common electrical misconception. Ah, there you are. What are you up to?
Hey Charlie, well I was just doing some troubleshooting and inspecting on our battery here to see why it's not charging.
You know, I hear that all the time from technicians and owners. How do you normally run through a process to make sure that either the battery is actually charged or it's not being charged by the RV?
Well, the common culprits for this situation is either the battery isn't holding that charge or the camper's wiring isn't providing a charge to the battery. And there's a few steps you can take with a multimeter to really diagnose that problem.
Is that a process?
There is a good process, and we could walk through that process if you'd like.
Yeah, actually. I'll tell you what, I will unhook the battery and drag it into the shop if you walk me through that process.
I would love that, Charlie, especially if you're the one carrying this battery.
Yeah, it's heavy, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah, well, let's do it.
Okay, let's get after it.
Ah, come on, that's my line.
We are excited to announce the launch of our new Lippert Technical Institute YouTube channel. This channel's focus will be to inform a wider range of customers, ranging from technicians to owners, those living the RV lifestyle. We want to drive content to you that's impactful, comprehensive, and helps you get through some of those issues that may keep you from camping. Our previous channel will continue to be uploaded with content focused on warranty procedures and part replacement. To stay up to date with all the content the Lippert Technical Institute has to offer, be sure to subscribe to both channels.
Here you go, Emily, here's your heavy battery.
Thanks for carrying that in for me, Charlie. And I grabbed the multimeter because we're going to need this to start figuring out the process.
Okay, well, first of all, that was my line, and you can't use it.
Well, I didn't see your name on it. But let's jump into this process of how to tell your battery is not charging.
Oh, hold on a second. I wanted to show you a diagram that I created that is actually helping me create a mock-up on the RV that's an all-encompassing AC and DC electrical mock-up. So, do you mind if I show you this diagram real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see it, and I can see how this would really help other people understand and get a good foundation for what the process is going to entail.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So what I did here is I created a fifth wheel and a simple electric diagram inside it. And I created 5 categories to simplify this and like take the magic out of it. So starting with power generating. So we have a generator, shore power, and a battery. So we have our 120 volts AC that's coming into the RV and 12 volts DC coming in. That's called power generating. That's how the RV gets its juice, right? Then we have power charging. So that magical battery that we're working with needs that 12 point whatever 6 volts all the time. Well, if it's using it, it's got to charge it. So there's a couple of devices inside the RV that actually charge it. And one of them is a converter that is either inside the distribution panel called an all-in-one, or it's separate. So you have a distribution panel and a converter. So either one of those, but the converter actually takes 120 volts AC here and supplies that 12 volts and charges the battery. And then the other one is your solar power, if you have that. If you have a solar panel, it will also help charge the battery. So the third one is called power distribution, and I like to call that my traffic cop. So right in the middle of the diagram here is a distribution panel. So it gets all the power pushed to it, and then it distributes it out to each circuit to supply what the people need. So if they need a microwave, they need a light, they need a fan, the distribution panel creates these little fuses, or each circuit has a fuse for it, and it supplies that power. So that's the distribution. Now the fourth one is called power user devices or power using devices, and that's actually the appliances. So you have all the power coming into the RV, and then you have these appliances that actually use it, right? So those are your user devices. And then this last one, that's a little different, but it's super important, and that's your connection. So that battery needs to have the power that we keep talking about, and we supply the power to charge it, but what if on a connection, that's these little purple dots all over the place, there's hundreds of thousands of connections inside an RV, and if those connections aren't good, or if your negative or ground bar that connects it to the frame of the RV is loose, your battery's not going to charge, right? So the last piece of this, I take all that away and create two different sections. Number one, called the DC powered section. So if you slice that RV in half, half of the stuff is being powered by the battery or the DC power, like your DC appliances. Your inverter gets that 12 volts and then it transfers it into 120 volts. And your solar panel also is creating that 12 volts. And then on the other side of the RV, you have your AC power, and that is your shore power and your generator creating that 120 volts. It's being transferred over to 12 volts through your converter, and you have your other AC appliances, like your air conditioning is run by 120 volts. So you have two full systems inside the RV with those 5 categories. So hopefully all of this mess that I've created has simplified the magic a little bit so you can explain your process better.
This is really great, Charlie, and that was a great explanation of how electrical systems work inside that RV. Yes, RV batteries can freeze under certain conditions. Most standard lead acid RV batteries contain electrolyte solution, which is a mixture of sulfuric acid and water. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. And if the temperature drops below this point, the water inside the battery can freeze. When a battery freezes, the expansion of frozen water can cause damage to the internal structures of the battery. This can cause cracking the battery casing or damage to the battery plates. This can lead to the loss of capacity and performance of the battery itself. To prevent RV batteries from freezing, it's important to take proper precautions, especially during the winter months or when the RV is stored in extremely cold temperatures. Here are a few tips. A fully charged battery has a lower freezing point than a partially charged one. Regularly charge your RV batteries to maintain their charge levels. You can also insulate the battery compartment. If your RV has an insulated battery compartment, it can help protect the battery from extreme temperature changes. Ensure that the compartment is properly insulated and sealed. Battery blankets or heating pads are specially designed to keep batteries warm in cold weather. These can be placed directly on or around the battery, and these provide a gentle heat source to prevent freezing. If possible, remove the battery from the RV and store them in a temperature-controlled environment during the winter months. This ensures that they are never exposed to freezing temperatures. By taking all of these precautions, you can minimize the risk of your RV batteries freezing and extend their lifespan and performance. If you like what you're seeing and want to see more, make sure you subscribe to the Lippert Technical Institute channel, where you can stay up to date on our latest content and episodes. And while you're at it, give us some feedback by giving us a thumbs up on the video. This is a pretty fantastic map for following along as I talk about the process of going through figuring out why your battery is not charging. I like to start my process from the beginning, and to do that, you want to start removing and isolating your battery. To do that, you want to disconnect all connections from your battery and isolate it from the RV's electrical circuit. And the reason you do that is because This disconnect switch here is meant to turn off all loads to the battery, but that's not always a reliable source because occasionally some RVs can have things that bypass that switch. And that's because things are connected to this fuse, which is meant to protect the battery. Things like solar or a refrigerator. So those disconnection from your battery will help isolate. After you've isolated your battery, it will help you with this next step, which is to inspect your battery.
Okay.
If you don't have a good battery, that means it can't receive and hold that charge. So you should inspect your battery for things like bloating of the casing, any damage to it, excessive corrosion at those terminals, and if you notice that your battery is discharging at a faster rate than normal, that is all signs that your battery is ending its lifespan. And you can check your battery by using this multimeter here, and you use it to check the voltage, the DC voltage of your battery. A fully charged battery is normally around 12.6 volts DC, and a battery at 50% charge is normally about 12.2 volts. So if you notice that your battery is regularly at a 50% charge or lower, your battery is becoming damaged, and that will shorten its lifespan.
I was wondering if I could ask a quick question. Multimeter. A lot of people, a lot of users don't have multimeters. Is there any other option out there that will help them monitor their battery?
You know, that is a great question, and I'm really glad you asked it. Most RVs do have a built-in battery monitor, but some aftermarket battery monitors are even better because they can tell you when a battery is receiving a charge, when it's discharging, the voltage of that battery, and even the amp hours you have left on your battery.
Wow.
And that really helps users keep track of their battery and the condition of their battery.
Right, okay, awesome.
So after you have done all that testing, you can reinstall your battery if it's in good condition. If it's in bad, that's probably your most likely culprit because it's not maintaining that charge. When your battery's reinstalled, you can start going through the process of inspecting the rest of the RV and that circuitry. You want to make sure that things like the fuses, breakers, and that disconnect switch are all in good condition and in the right position. It's really easy to miss if your disconnect switch is in the wrong position or this main fuse here that's meant to protect your battery can wear out over time and break that connection and prevent your battery from receiving a charge. After you've checked all of these things, you can plug your unit into shore power. That will be the most reliable way to see if your circuitry is receiving and putting out that charge to your battery.
Okay.
When you're plugging in your shore power, you should be receiving 120 volts to your converter, and that's what we're going to check next. We'll take our multimeter again and set it to check for alternating current. So you're checking to see if you're getting 120 volts into your converter, and then you're going to switch the multimeter to direct current and check for that output of the converter. That should be about 13.7 volts, and that output will travel through the RV system to your battery. And that's the next step, is going to the battery and verifying that voltage is reaching the battery. So again, about 13.7 volts. If you do not have a good input of 120 volts to your converter, you will not have a good output of that 13.7 volts to your battery. So that means your converter may be damaged and need replaced. But if you do have that good input, good output, that means somewhere along this line, if that voltage is not reaching your battery, you have either a damaged component or damaged connections.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I have one more question. Is it possible that all batteries have the same lifespan, or are there different types of batteries out there?
Well, that's a good question again, Charlie. Not all batteries are created equal. You have lead acid batteries, lithium batteries, deep cell cycle batteries, and those all have different lifespans.
Sure.
Those can range from 2 to 10 years. And additionally, the maintenance and upkeep of your battery, like I said, letting it discharge past that 50% will create irreversible damage.
Well, it seems like you got everything covered, and quite frankly, I can't wait to get out to mine and check all those different areas and make sure that my battery's good.
It is a great map to follow and a great process. But there's one thing I want to cover before we move on.
Okay.
And that's if you have a motor coach. You
Oh, yeah,
could
that makes
have
sense.
a whole nother input from that engine alternator that will supply a charge to your house battery. And that's the process that will help you answer the question of why is my RV battery not charging?
I have one last favor to ask. Can we take all of this and go back out to the RV and you can show that to me actually on a unit?
I would love the help with that.
Awesome.
So you want to grab the battery
Yeah,
and
I'll
we
grab it.
can...
No. Let's get after it. We're going to take a look at the quick disconnect switch. Now, the quick disconnect switch is a very important little item on the RV because you're going to be able to turn that switch off and eliminate most or all, depending upon your OEM and how the RV is wired, you're going to eliminate all those DC components from drawing on your battery and draining it. Starting with this battery down here in the corner. If you follow that wire up, it goes right to this mini breaker. And from the mini breaker, it goes right into the quick disconnect switch. Now, if you turn that quick disconnect switch off, supposedly, it's going to turn all of the DC appliances off. However, as you can see, it didn't turn the refrigerator off or the solar panel off. And here's why. Now, the wiring from these two components come down here and they don't hook up to the quick disconnect. They're actually wired right into the mini breaker, and the mini breaker is wired right into the battery. So when you turn this off, these two things stay on, and there's a reason for that. If you are boondocking and you don't have 120 volts AC, but you have your battery power, and you shut your RV down and close it up and turn everything off, you're going to still want that solar to charge your battery, right? And you're still going to want that refrigerator to keep your food cold. So that's what that's for. It's actually wired in front of the quick disconnect. Now, if you remove the battery completely, you can see the whole circuitry turns off. And that's when you winterize your RV or you're not going to go camping for a long time. You're going to want to take that battery and store it somewhere.
Experience the buzz of activity here at the Lippert Technical Institute and dive into our collection of updates and information at the Lippert Technical Institute Insider playlist. Right now, we have an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at our virtual productions department, alongside catching up on our latest video releases and documents. Don't miss out and explore the Lippert Technical Institute Insider playlist today. So Charlie, do you feel like we really explained how a battery charges today?
Well, there was a lot of information there, but I feel confident about all the information you gave me.
Well, I'm glad I was able to help you out and teach you a little something during.
Well, thanks a lot, Emily, and to all our viewers, we appreciate you tuning in to our debut episode of the Technical Institute Show.
And be sure to catch our next episode where we'll dive into the importance of ensuring your converter functions correctly.
Plus, we will also be addressing another frequently asked question from you.
Don't miss out and subscribe to the Lippert Technical Institute channel to stay up to date on all the latest releases and exclusive content from Lippert.